Peter, can you tell me your very first memory of Karen Leek?
I certainly can, Molly. When I first started buying greyhounds with my mum, I actually was put in touch with Karen to do the rearing for us. And that's the first time I met her. And I went to her property down south and met her. And I was like, oh, taken aback a bit because you don't die wondering with Karen. But she was fantastic. And as we know, she was one of our best rearers in Victoria. And so from then on, she always reared race dogs for myself and mum. And then once I went on the GRV board, I obviously couldn't own dogs. So she kept rearing for my mum and would always have a spot for mum for any of her pups, which was fantastic. She was just meticulous, attention to detail, the repetition and routine which is required when you've got dogs. And she just absolutely loved it and had the passion for it. And you've got to have passion to be successful. She never took shortcuts. And I think that's why she was so successful. And everyone was desperate to try to get their dogs in there for her to rear. She's mentored so many of our younger trainers that we've got today. And I know that they are forever grateful to her. And like all of us, it's just, it's heartbreaking that she's not here anymore. And I think, this is the least we can do is put her in our Hall of Fame. And part of me thinks, damn it, we should have done this before, but you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But no, she loved young people. They kept her young and vibrant, and she loved teaching people. But she was no fool, and she was a pretty, bit of a hard ass, but that was good, So, I just think it's devastating for our industry that this has happened to someone that we all loved and respected.
Now, the Hall of Fame induction, what do you think Karen would think about it?
I was thinking about this, and I'm thinking part of her would be, what's all the fuss about? Get over it. I've got dogs to go and feed up and let out and things. But I think seriously, deep down, she would be quite proud. And she's a very humble person, but I think she would be quite chuffed that she's been inducted. But she would be, it's just an award, but just sort of like, nah, what are you going on about? Because she was never a glory seeker or anything like that. She just very practical, down to earth, and I've just got to get on with it. And thanks very much. I'm off to do my dog sort of thing. So, I hope her family and friends are really proud of this day. And I think the whole industry will be proud as well that, we've recognised Karen in the best way we can. And she was just something else, I think. And one of my best memories of being with Karen was we were at the Sandown Girls' Night Out, and she had her mum there. We had a bit of a dance, Karen and I, and she was just up and about. She was so full of energy and life. I just loved her. So I can't say anything more than that. I think God bless you, Karen, and we really miss you.
First time I met Karen was at work experience through high school when I was in my early teens. I chose to go there knowing that she was passionate about greyhounds, as obviously I was, but I'd never met her before then, and what a fantastic experience it was, and we made a lifelong friendship through it. So we'd train her dogs, we'd walk them, free gallop them, take them out into the paddock. We'd do all the treatment. That's something Karen taught me a lot about, was ultrasound, magnetic field therapy, how to use a muscle contractor, all the points on a dog. Well, without doubt, Karen, she just put me on the right track. I was passionate about the breeding, as she was, and the training, so I sort of selected some of my own dogs, but she just helped me rear them to get the absolute best I could possibly ever get out of those dogs. She was just brilliant with dogs, and their welfare was everything to her. It was just, they had to be 100%. She'd check on them every day. Every single dog, she knew exactly who they were, where they were up to, what they ate, everything. She was amazing. Gee, she had so many of them. I remember when she won the Shepherd and Cup with Dim Sum. I think that was something high up there. I remember too when I was doing work experience or soon after, when we were watching, we spent hours watching race videos of her dogs. She had a couple of dogs that were very fond to her, Proud Paul and Copper Lady, and she got both of those into a Melbourne Cup, which was a phenomenal achievement, and I know she's very proud about that. I think she'd be so proud and honoured to be given such an award, and an induction into the Hall of Fame is about as big as it gets. But you know what, I don't think it could come to a more deserving person than Karen. She really deserves it, and yeah, I'm so proud of her. She's in there now. She deserves it.
Bill, can you tell me your very first memory of Karen Leek?
Yes. Firstly, can I say, Molly, thank you for the opportunity of speaking about Karen Leek. It's a bit of an honour for me. So thank you. I know you could have spoken to a lot of people. She's got a lot of people she knows, and she's so good and has been so good. Got a lot of friends. So thank you. More than happy to. The first memory is honestly, it's meeting Karen and being the woman that she was. It was just so easy, so pleasant. She's just a natural lady that just basically opened up a home to myself and Serge, as you know, we're in this together. And just so friendly, so warm, so inviting. You know, the first thing she offered was a cup of coffee before we even started looking at a property and looking at our pups. And every time we went, it was always like that. So you just can't forget, and you can't forget the smile that she always had.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think the smile is a key part. It's a smile that's just etched,
Yeah.
I think, in everyone's brain. But you spoke about you and Serge and meeting Karen for the first time. What made you guys decide to continue on that relationship with Karen after seeing her property and wanting to get involved with your dogs and her?
Yeah. Oh, look, just after you meet Karen, or met Karen and walked around the property, you could see that just the passion that she had for them. And, and all the dogs that she had as her pets running around the home, they were all just beautiful pets. But the way the dogs were always kept, the way the dogs were always groomed, we never went to see any of our pups and thought, geez, have a look at that one. It's not getting looked after or anything like that. So just the way she looked after her own property and the pups, what she did, the way she handled them was just, for me, second to none. Yeah.
Without a doubt. Now, Karen obviously had a lot of success on the track, but she also chose to spend a lot of her time for the betterment of greyhound racing. Why do you think she chose to do that, especially through committees and mentoring?
Again, she just loved the industry. She loved the industry, and she always had this passion to make sure the industry thrived and survived. She was a believer that young people need to get into the industry. That's why she encouraged young people to come to her property, work on her property, help her, but they learned a lot from her. Committees would be the same thing. She used to get involved in it because she had such a passion that she just wanted to see the industry thrive, like all of us, I guess, that are in it.
And what do you think she would think about this Hall of Fame induction, this big celebration of Karen?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. What would she think? Look, she'd be proud, absolutely, no doubt. She would be proud as punch because, like I said, this is a reflection on what she did for the industry. Absolutely. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
She would definitely be thinking, what is all this fuss? She wouldn't want all this fuss over it, that's for sure. She'd be proud to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, no doubt, but she wouldn't want all this fuss. She was pretty low key when it came to that sort of thing.
She certainly was. Look, Karen was an absolute phenomenal woman, and I'm so glad I had the opportunity to meet her and be mentored by her as well. But thank you so much for the kind words you've just said.
No problem. Absolute pleasure.
Sandra, can you tell me about your very first memory of Karen?
My first memories of Karen was when she was a teenager, and Angela Modra and I were friends, and we were training greyhounds at the time, and Karen was always around Ange. She loved the dogs, and she was helping Ange with the dogs all the time. She was actually wagging school to be with Ange and go to the dogs. Everywhere we went, Karen would tag along. She'd be like the apprentice.
Now, Karen had, obviously a little bit further along in her training career, Karen had a really strong and good reputation out of her kennels, not only for training, but rearing as well. What do you think contributed to her success and her good name?
Karen's success was attributed, I think, to her passion for the greyhounds. She loved the dogs. Not having had a family of her own, her dogs became her family. And she just cared for them as you would for your own children. She treated them as her own children. So she was a perfectionist in looking after the dogs.
Can you tell me about some of her successful greyhounds?
Yeah, in the early days, when her and I worked together, I had boarding kennels at Roval, and she came and worked for me for about 10 years when we were in our 20s. So that was some time ago. And people started to recognise Karen had a few ordinary dogs, that how keen she was and how well she looked after them. And her very first good dog, David Gleason bought for her. Her name was Rel Louise, and she was quite a good dog. And Karen also had another dog training for somebody else. It was called Proud Paw, and a dog of her own called Copper Lady. So they were her first really good dogs. But we're going back now 40 years, so probably most people won't remember those dogs.
And what about some successful greyhounds in recent times of Karen?
In recent times, well, in the last 20 years since she moved to Devon Meadows, when she focused solely on her own dogs, because before that she had boarding kennels and pet dogs and cattery and everything like that, she didn't have a lot of time. But once she dedicated her time just to her own dogs and a few select clients, and moved to Devon Meadows, she had a dog called Time Flies, who was a very good dog. And then I think the highlights of her career, if you ask Karen, would have been when she won the Shepparton Cup with a dog called Din Sun. And also, having been a very good friend of Judy Haley's, she wanted to win the Judy Haley Memorial. So she had a dog called Billy Rocket that actually did that for us. So that would have been the highlight of her career.
And what do you think Karen would think of this Hall of Fame induction?
She would be absolutely thrilled. It would be the highlight of her life, I would think, because to be recognised for your dedication in any way whatsoever is an honour, and I'm sure she'd feel it would be a great honour to be listed with the people that have been the top in the industry. So she would never have expected anything like this.
Perfect. Sandra, was there anything else you feel like you'd like to say about Karen?
I'd just like to say that Karen was an amazing person who helped many people in the greyhound industry, not just in the greyhound industry. She was great with her family. She was always such a giving, loving, caring person. And I'm just so pleased to be able to be here today to talk on her behalf.
Thank you so much, Sandra. That was absolutely lovely.